I love how I press the record button and my Wi-Fi signal immediately drops out.
Yep.
But hello, everybody, and welcome to Podfluxxx, episode 49, the WrestleMania XL edition. Also, on top of that, Ricky, it's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. But here we are. We did not do a go home episode before WrestleMania, which is odd for us. We had a little scheduling conflictions, and but there were things the week before that we asked about. We were like, man, there's no physicality,
Right.
and this build up is getting kind of slow and kind of stale, and then of course we didn't talk about it, but they picked up business the week before WrestleMania. What'd you think of the Raw and the SmackDown go homes for WrestleMania?
Yeah, I thought they were done really well. I guess it was okay because they kind of saved it all for the last one before. Um, I don't know. I always liked, like, as a fan, and I always go back to Rock, Stone Cold when they would one up each other every other week. I thought that that's a little bit better for me as a fan. I guess, like, every week see something a little bit, a little bit more, as long as it's one sided, so you're not seeing a back and forth type of. I'm tired of
Right.
seeing the pull aparts. I don't want to see a contract signing and tables flipped. But, if Cody's out there talking shit, like, why isn't one of the Bloodline guys trying to hit the ring on him, right? So it felt like it was
Right.
getting boring, but they finally picked it up. But so obviously they know what they're doing, obviously.
Whenever uh, I'm I'm sure I've said it in the past, but whenever I think about a build up to WrestleMania, I think of The Rock and Austin, the Limp
Mhm.
Bizkit video with
Yeah.
all the stunners and all the rock bottoms and just
Yeah. Right.
like that kind of level of a build
Hmm.
is missing today. But I think all in all, they the Rock drawing blood on Cody. I think the builds those last 2 weeks right before WrestleMania, they nailed it and got me interested again. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, do you want to jump right into WrestleMania?
Yeah, maybe just hit the high points. I don't want to go through each fucking match because
Yeah,
that's
we did
that's
too much
exhausting.
last year for WrestleMania. It
Yeah.
was our first episode. We didn't know
Yeah.
what we were doing. Uh, we're much smarter this year. So I will
Definitely.
say, I want to hit. We're gonna hit things brief. To me, night one was a one match show, and it wasn't the
Yep.
match that everybody thought it was going to be. Uh, Everybody should have packed their bags and went home after Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
I texted
Absolutely.
you right after that
Yeah.
match that they either need to go to commercial break or hope that everybody brought their working shoes because they put them out
Mm.
there first. They went 17 minutes and
Ooh.
they had a hell of a fight. What'd you think?
Yeah. No. I mean, again, I'm so happy that Rhea kept the belt. Like, she needs to be on a record breaking tear right now because right now, I mean, there is just nobody. I don't see anybody that's on her level, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not a big Charlotte fan. Like, I think Charlotte's good. I would say she's like a close number two, I guess. But she's gonna need a big build, a proper build when she comes back to be taking this off Rhea. Um, Other than that, man, she's just kind of like in a league of her own. I'm so happy they didn't, because it felt like it was like that classic, like, oh, just switch the belt. It's WrestleMania. That's what we're supposed to do. So I definitely didn't want that. But yeah, Rhea's just. she's just money all the way around. I didn't know they went that long because it didn't feel like it went 17 minutes, which is a good thing, right? Like it was a good flow.
Yep.
It was a nice
Flew
back
by.
and forth. Yeah, they got rocking and rolling a little after like between 8 to 10. That's when they were hitting the big stuff. So yeah, it was a great match, man. Like after that, I'm sure they were strutting around the back, like yeah, it's a WrestleMania pre-show is a wrap, buddy. Like let's take this shit home.
Yeah. Um. I think we've said it before. Beating Rhea Ripley with anything but the next Rhea Ripley is
Right,
going backward, right?
right,
You
for
don't want to
sure.
beat her with Charlotte or Becky, or you want there's no reason to beat her until the next one of her is there and ready. Uh, I've always noticed this, and I don't know if we've ever had a conversation about it. Have you ever noticed that Becky Lynch can't jump?
Yes, yes, I've noticed that
She
off the ropes,
she is
onto the
just
ropes. Yeah, she has
like a sinking ship.
no.
Like as soon as she
Yeah,
steps off of something, she's immediately on the floor.
yeah, she cannot go in
Um,
a upwards motion at all. Yeah,
yes. Remember how Neville was the man that gravity forgot?
yeah,
Becky Lynch is the woman that gravity remembers.
remembered.
Uh, the 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 next match was the 6-man scramble match. Uh, the only thing that I really liked about this match was when you looked up and you saw that both the belts were separated. So we were
Oh
coming out
yeah,
of
yeah,
this with two
the
different
tag.
sets
Yeah,
of tag champions. My
yeah.
buddy was like, "No, you got to win one and then go and get the other." And I was like, "No,
Mhm.
there's two different teams walking out, and the
Yeah,
belts are going separate."
right.
So that was the high point of that match, except for Miz and R-Truth hitting a hot tag in the middle of a ladder match, which and
Right.
apparently that's the first time the Truth has ever won on WrestleMania. So he got his little moment. So good for him.
Oh wow, I didn't know
Uh, did you
that.
uh, did you see anything you liked in the LWO versus
Yeah,
the Halado del Fantasma? Okay, good. Me neither.
yeah.
Uh, and then we were right about Jimmy and Jay, man. I know we said only the high points. We had talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I said this is either going to be really good or really disappointing. Uh, I'm of the mindset, like I'm sure when you grew up, your brother was a wrestling fan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure that you guys grew up, you play
Mhm.
wrestled. If
Right.
he would have
Right.
turned out to be a professional wrestler, also, you guys would have had 30 years to plan this match to get to this moment.
You're right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the way I look at it was they had 30 years to plan this, and they came up with let's super kick each other 41 times, and then I'll hit a splash.
Right. Yeah. So that was that.
So that was that. Uh, Sammy and Gunther, what'd you think? Excuse me,
I liked
Gunther.
it. Yeah. Yeah. I liked it. Yeah, that's when we started texting about,
You with me
like,
here?
yeah, yeah. That's when we started texting about what Gunther's going to be doing next. So I'm excited. It obviously needed to happen at some point, and obviously WrestleMania is the place to do it. So if Sammy could just find a seamstress to make him some nicer looking gear, that would be great. Uh, Other than that, I mean, he's great in the ring. He's a good character. I love this heel work when he was a heel. I like his baby face work. I get the whole, that he's doing the crazy guy hair thing, but he's just wearing gray sweatpants out there like he's, walking the dog. So hopefully it leads to Gable and Sammy to have some. I'm sure they'll have awesome matches, and hopefully it breaks Gable out to do
Yeah.
something more meaningful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I don't know. I don't know if Sammy was the to me not the right guy, because again, Sammy's already a 2 or 3 time Intercontinental Champion. There's nobody like Gunther. So going from Gunther back to Sammy, I feel like that's going backwards when you could have used that moment of beating Gunther's incredible title reign to really get somebody over like a Chad Gable.
Yeah, I
Uh,
would have.
I was
I would have went
hoping
with like.
for, and I
I
text.
would have went. Yeah, I would have went with Gable if I had to. If it was between Sammy and Gable, I totally would have went with Gable to get him solidified as a serious. This is a guy we're gonna go with for now and heat him up. Like that would have been like a real moment, I guess. I wouldn't like
Yeah,
because I like Gunther, I wouldn't have done like a Braun Breaker to come in and smash through him, but he's another guy you could do something like that with. Like, I don't know, maybe a Logan Paul
mm-hmm.
later, like he's out there running his mouth, open challenge. It's the same Ultimate Warrior honky tonk style of surprise. Could be a Braun
Right.
Breaker, but yeah, I would have went. I totally would have went with Gable on it because, like you said, Sammy's more established, and for that big L to come for Gunther finally could have did way more for Gable than Sammy, I think. Because now even if Chad wins it off Sammy, like let's say they wait till SummerSlam even and give him a proper build. I know they're gonna wrestle next week, but like realistically, it's probably not gonna be a title change on Raw, but uh, that would have did so much more for Gable, in that light. So
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping that we were getting the Ivan Drago Apollo Creed fight out of this.
yeah,
If he dies, he
yeah,
dies. Gunther kills him. Not really, but
right, right. And then
hurts
and
him
then Gable
bad.
comes in.
And then
Gable,
Gable's, yeah.
right? Yeah.
But I mean,
Ideal,
all in all, I thought it was a
ideally,
really, really good match.
yeah. Ideally, it would have been great, right? Gunther wins again. Now maybe instead of the crowd cheering him because he's winning, now maybe they'll like, all right, he needs to go, and then finally Gable does it, right? Like that. That could have
Right.
been. I mean, with the proper build, you could have main evented that on Raw, and that could have been huge for everybody if it's not on WrestleMania,
Okay. Um, where were you at the night Jade Cargill debuted at WrestleMania?
Uh, here's what I've learned living in Texas, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
when you don't want to say something really bad, but you want to be nice about it, there's a phrase we use here, which is "bless her heart," and that's that's all I could think of when she's out there because they're redoing what she did already. Short matches, right? She's the Bill Goldberg. Um, I don't know. Again, this hype and buzz and everything is great. It's typical WWE. No one does it better. Not even the UFC can build characters like this. Uh, so it's all great and everything, but I mean, you know me, I'm like a wrestler's wrestler. It's like, okay, that's a great 30-second thing you just did, but what are you gonna do you know, in Elizabeth, New Jersey, in front of 3,000 people for 25 minutes, on a loop that, we got to do this for the next 4 days in a row. So it's great. She looks like $1 million. So did Lex Luger. And then she needs to be having a little more lengthier matches, I think, like the squash, because of that one, the Chelsea Green chick was fine, but if she's going to get comfortable, I hope she's on these house show loops, at least in tag matches, and getting used to timing and movements, because she didn't get any of that shit in AEW at all. Because when it was bad there, it was bad for her. Like, it made her look like a clown, and she needs to be overproduced, right? Because there's only so many things. A, the other girls will probably feel safe taking. B, until she realizes how strong she really is and how these girls are going to work with her, not against her, type thing. Because in AEW, it's every man for himself, right? Like, oh well, once your shit's done, I can do all my shit. Like, it's like take turns showing off type of deal, and it's not like that there. So I mean, I don't know. I would like to see her like drop down and go to NXT and maybe try to get some lengthier matches with some other girls there, maybe, or bring down Natty and have Natty work with her, and then eventually.
Say,
I mean, that's why you have those
to Natty for about 6 months.
Right. That's why you have those people employed there still, like we understand it within the business. Somebody might not understand it just watching it, next week on TV, but that's how you're going to learn, So I don't know. We'll see what they do with her, or what she, can do with what they're giving her, more or less,
Can get out of it.
Yeah. Right.
To see what she gets out of it. Because as of right now, like you're saying in Texas, up here it was, hey, worked with so-and-so. Yeah, how was he? Well, he was a nice guy.
Right. Right. Exactly.
He was the nice guy. That's the kiss of death. So
yeah, exactly.
That's what I thought about that. And then finally, we got the Bloodline, Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth. What'd you think?
I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. I didn't realize how long they went until you pointed it out, but it didn't look like The Rock blew up too bad. I feel like once he caught his second wind, he seemed to be like he was okay out there. Yeah, this was a weekend of Seth just bumping his ass off and being the Shawn Michaels of the weekend, taking everyone's stuff. So, another insider's, perspective is like the real MVP of the weekend was Seth Rollins, right? Because Roman and Brock weren't going to get their shit all off on Cody because he's the next golden child. So, other than that, I mean, it was a big brawl like we expected it to be. There was that cool Rock moment, don't fucking count, so I thought it was good.
For me, this match was filler mania, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It was, let's get out there. We've got 45 minutes. Let's go kill 45 minutes. But instead of having to, and I don't want to sound disparaging, like they weren't working hard, but instead of having to work super hard for 45 minutes, with them being so over, it didn't matter what they did for that 45 minutes, right? Because there's 70-something thousand people there just losing their minds at the happening of it, right?
Yeah.
That 45 minutes is an equivalency to Hogan and Andre going 13 at WrestleMania 3.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, for what it was, if you want to sit around like a Meltzer or whatever these other nerds and be like, oh well, they kind of just kicked and punched, or traded forearms with your good brothers or whatever they want to call it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but those people lost their minds, and The Rock was out there whooping on some asses like it was
Mm.
20 something years ago.
Yeah.
I think once, like, I was watching and I was like, okay, they were like 10 minutes in, and I was like, Rock's gassed.
Mm.
Like, I thought he was blown up. And then I just think once his nerves settled in, because he's probably also got to be in a position where, like, I don't do
Yeah.
this
Right.
anymore regularly, and then you got it. It doesn't matter who you are, you get in your own head about something like that, you know, like, do I, should I even be doing this? And I feel like once he passed the first initial like 10-15 minutes and he was like, like, all right, I can go out here and I can hang with these guys and I can get this done. I feel like he settled in.
Yeah,
Plus
for
the
sure.
man was out there in his underwear and it was, 48 degrees.
Right.
So all in all, night one, what did you think?
I mean, it was what it was. Like you said, it's just filler prepping us for the next night because that's when it really started. You know, I mean, it's great. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about having 2 days of WrestleMania because I feel like WrestleMania, if you're not on it, is a good thing because you'll work harder that whole next
Yeah.
year wanting to get back on it. I'm not a big fan of like, everyone gets to be on WrestleMania because we got 2 days. Now there's two main events. It's like, nah, bitch, there's one main event. There's one Sunday night in the middle of the night that the show goes off the air and you're either standing there or you are not, like, so,
Right.
uh, yeah, it would have been, just think if we didn't have the first night and then you take out whatever random match off night two, insert Rhea's match, and we only had Sunday. How insane would that have been? You know what I mean? Like, because Sunday just started rocking and rolling and
Right.
it was fire all night. So, it was good. It was good. I feel bad for everybody. If you got night one of WrestleMania, it's kind of like an eye roll, now. So
Yeah. And again, you got to wonder how many people, sat there and watched that Becky Lynch and that Rhea Ripley match and just threw out everything they were going to do because,
yeah, right.
what's the point?
Yeah, yeah. At that point,
It's
you're
like,
just
what are
like,
we? It doesn't matter. What am I going to hit you with a truck?
right, yeah. Like now, it's just like, oh, we'll just hold the armbar. Fuck it,
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll go do some arm drags. All right. So night two started Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, and I loved everything about this.
Yeah,
Absolutely everything.
yeah,
So talk to me about it, and then I'll tell you what I thought.
yeah. No, I mean, awesome match. Uh, another another follow that moment. When all those guys came to the back. And then the segment after the match ended was even, was another cool moment. So, yeah, the match was great. I I told you, like, Drew's looking tan. You know what that means. They came in, had an awesome match,
Mhm.
captured the crowd, kept the crowd. Uh, they got me a couple times on two good ones. I thought, man, this was fun. That was a fun match to watch. Where I don't know how much time they went. It could have been 7 minutes. It could have been 18 minutes, but it felt good all the way through. And like I said before, like Drew is Like, he is just firing on all cylinders. Like, that motherfucker is money right now. So he doesn't really need the belt. I get it. It was a great little deal, little number they did with it. Eventually I would put it on him just so he can lose it, and get more frustrated, and keep it going. But yeah, he's money. Seth was money that night, except for his outfit. But yeah.
I think I did I text you during Seth's entrance and I said, "What is this? A Tatanka match?" Um,
Yes.
so they they got me right off the bat
Yeah,
because
for sure.
the match opened with a claymore,
Yeah.
and so right there I was like,
Yeah. Right.
and then right Jump Street I was like, "Oh my god!" And
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Right.
that's when I uh I said to myself, I said, "All right, we're gonna get a cash in here tonight." I had mentioned it for months and months and months and months, and that I thought that they were gonna have Drew beat Seth and then do the cash in, but then they started like reining in on and dialing back on Damian
Right.
Priest. So I was happy that they went through with it. I gotta say, I am not a fan of having to hit your finish like 3 or 4 times. I could
Yeah.
see like hitting it right off the bat and having the kick out. You've got a fresh
Right.
opponent.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like this is something that got popularized Lesnar Undertaker matches, right? Because
Yeah.
Undertaker had nothing left but to kick out and get fives and hit 100 tombstones.
Right.
Um, so like I kind of don't like when they do stuff like that, but the match was so good. It was only 10 minutes. They got to the point. Seth sold his ass off.
Yeah.
And then, the whole distraction down there with CM Punk and Drew taking his
Yeah.
eye off the ball, like
Yeah.
that was perfect. I'm all for Drew McIntyre playing with Damian Priest until CM Punk is ready to come back.
Yeah.
Like that's a perfect holdover. I'm not saying that McIntyre needs to beat him and then
No.
go into something with Punk because the Punk and McIntyre story doesn't need a title.
No. No. Not at all.
But I just man, I really like this was one of the high spots of the night for me. And then again, Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre that lasted a whopping 9 seconds. And then after that, we got uh, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament. And uh, how did Karrion Kross get a WrestleMania match for him in the AOP?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
This
There's
has
because
got to
there's
be
two
like
nights. Because there's 2 nights of WrestleMania. That's why.
still you could have taken that 8 minutes and thrown it on to LA Knight and AJ Styles.
Yeah, you could have. Yeah, you probably should have. So yeah, that's what I mean by
Uh,
having the two nights dilutes both shows a little bit, right? Because you could have gave
mhm.
another match. You could have gave another match more time, like you said. You could have gave AJ and them a little more, and or you could have took out that Karrion Cross match and the Rey Mysterio match and put in Rhea Ripley's match, and there's the perfect WrestleMania card. you know.
Right. Well, the only problem with that is they'll never turn down 2 back-to-back 70,000 person gates.
Well, yeah,
So
yeah. No,
I
I
predict within the
I
next
understand.
5 years, WrestleMania is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's like Raw, right? Like they'll never. I don't think that they would. Well, on cable, they're making so much money off that third hour. They would never go back to 2 hours because it's too much money, you know. So I mean, yeah,
Right.
I get it, but yeah, that's what I mean. Like everyone's all excited, like, oh man, I'm on WrestleMania, you know, and then you go with the Saturday or Sunday, you know, and that's your measure of your value
Right.
here. You know, are you in a title match on Saturday night or on Sunday night?
Right. So next on Sunday night was LA Knight and AJ Styles. What'd you think?
That was a good match. It's what I expected it to be. Everything I
Hold
expected.
on. I've got breaking news right now.
Oh
Breaking
no.
news, as we said, it's Wednesday. It's currently 8:40 p.m. Eastern, and the Young Bucks are about to show the
The
backstage
footage.
footage from All In. Should we go with this now or keep doing WrestleMania, and I'll pause this and then we can talk
I mean,
about
if
it in
it's
a
coming
minute.
on, I,
Uh,
I feel like
I
it's going to be a
will
comical
happily
reenactment.
do play-by-play of this footage for you.
All right.
Yeah. So right now they're setting up, I guess, what they're going to show. They're sitting in a locker room in front of a monitor, dressed like douche nozzles. There's like a 13-inch monitor behind them with a whiteboard, and
They taking notes?
they're selling the incident. There's a backstage incident involving two. Okay, I can't. First, what do you think about them showing?
This is just typical of them. It's stupid. Nobody cares but them. So
Right,
it's not
and
advancing
11
their
people on
business.
Twitter.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not advancing their business in any way. They're just wasting a billionaire's money. That's all. I'm not surprised at all, like, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of those, you know, it would be stupid. And then the next day they're like, yeah, they're doing that.
All right, now they're saying that maybe FTR. Okay, so they're trying to make an angle out of it, saying that maybe FTR mastermind the whole situation because they're such good friends with the individual. So this is absurd. All right, they're gonna clearly talk for a couple of minutes here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep talking about AJ Styles and LA Knight, something that people actually watched, and as soon as they start showing something, I'm just gonna break in. All right.
Yeah.
So, LA Knight and AJ Styles, they went 12 minutes. What did you think? Right outcome? Obviously, the right outcome.
Right. Yeah. AJ don't need it. LA Knight does. Um, Typical what I expected it to be. Two straight up pros just doing their thing. You know, solid match. You know, everything right. Everything that is good in pro wrestling was that match. You know what I mean? Good build, good heat, facials, intensity. You know, the pros pro match right there. So hopefully this
Yeah, it
means
was definitely the
something
right finish.
for LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, AJ looks great. All right, here we go. Here comes the footage. There's
Uh,
Jack Perry and a bunch of referees standing around. There's Jerry Lynn. Here comes CM Punk.
is it
Punk's
real
talking to
footage?
him. Perry tries. Yeah,
Oh,
you can't hear anything. It's security footage. You can see, Punk's back is to us. You can tell he's talking to Perry. Perry's listening. Uh, And now Jack Perry is saying something back to Punk. He's playing with his hair, and nothing is happening. Punk is looking around a little bit. He just smiled at somebody. He's pointing over at Joe. Jack Perry is saying a lot of things. Okay. And Punk throws a punch and snatches him. He's got him front face locked. Joe comes over, pulls Perry away. Punk throws a right hand as Joe pulls him away, and then he turns to his right and screams at somebody you can only assume is Tony
Tony.
Khan.
Right.
And Punk storms off. It's exactly like what he said it is. It is 100% what CM Punk said it was. 100%.
I mean, why would he lie
So
about
what
it,
was the
right? I
point?
mean, it was, they made themselves look stupid again, you know.
Yeah. See, at
It's just
first it
stupid.
looked like he threw a punch before going for the front face lock, but I couldn't tell if that was him trying to snatch him and Perry kind of stepped back and then Punk
Yeah.
grabbed for him again and grabbed him. And then while Joe was pulling Jack Perry away, Punk took a swipe, but he missed. But it's exactly what he said it was going to be.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, Tony Schiavone, they're doing an on camera right now, and Excalibur looks goofy. Taz is talking to the camera, and Tony Schiavone wouldn't even lift his head up. And now FTR is coming to the ring. And Tony Schiavone saying that this is not on his sheet. So now everybody's working. This is an angle now.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, the triple threat match: Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. I thought it was funny that Kevin Owens came out on the golf cart and then backed up the ramp to go pick up Randy Orton. But Kevin Owens was basically there just to take the pin. Only
Yeah.
reason was for him to be in the match was to not have to beat Randy.
Yes.
So what'd you think of the match?
I mean, it was good. It's what I thought it was going to be with those guys, Like Logan Paul's good with his timing somewhat. I think he kind of like draws things out a little too much for me, like where he's just standing there and like soaking up the booze like a little too long. But other than that, it was exactly what I expected it to be.
Yeah, I had no complaints with it. It was a fun match.
Yeah.
Logan Paul is way better than he has any right to be.
Yeah.
Uh, which is a compliment. Because this guy's had 6 matches, all on big time pay per views, and none of them was a stinker.
Right. Yeah.
So, that's just a
Hmm.
testament to somebody who works hard at trying to
Yeah.
do this and that comes from the outside and takes it seriously. So he
Yeah.
gets big
Exactly.
points in my book for that. Uh, Bailey and Io Sky. I thought it was good.
Wasn't a big. I
I thought
wasn't a
it, I
big
thought it
fan
was
of it.
really good. I'll tell you. I think.
No, I
Yeah.
felt like it
What
was. I
didn't you
felt like
like?
it was too slow, and I don't know. I couldn't follow like feeling a certain way about it. It was like I felt like it was choppy at times. Maybe it was too slow. Maybe it's a
Mm,
styles clash or difference. Um, Io Sky is a little
right.
more fast paced, and Bailey being the bigger baby face made it like awkward. Where I guess I would have been if they were switched, it would have made more sense to me and been a little more believable, I guess. I don't know. It felt like to me like Bailey would do some stuff, Io would do some stuff, and there was a lot of like waiting and then going to the next thing. Like I felt like, oh, we got time to fill, so let's go really slow out there. Um, so I didn't care for it too much there. I wasn't a big fan. I like Io Sky and I like Bailey's work. I just feel like this was a swing and a miss.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't think anything they didn't do anything wrong or they didn't do anything
No,
bad. Like I think
no.
they did good stuff. I liked it. I felt like if they would have had one or two of the other girls out there to kind of, stack the deck more
Yes.
against Bailey. Like I feel
Yeah.
like for the like you never saw Hollywood Hogan go to the ring by himself. You know
Right.
what I mean? As the leader of the group. And then if you did see him go by himself, you knew he wasn't going to be by himself for long, especially
Right.
when the babyface started blowing a comeback on him. You look down the entranceway and hear Virgil was on his way. But I mean, I guess they might have not did that because they were going to do so much of that in a match that I've uh, affectionately and endearingly titled Milkamania. The main event,
Yeah.
Cody
That makes
Rhodes
sense.
versus Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship that went 33 minutes. I did not time Roman or Cody's entrance on this night, but my God, to just get in the ring and just stare. So like I was contest or like what are we doing here tonight?
Right.
And then they got going and about I want to say at the 20-minute mark is when we were going to get 10 minutes of nonsense. Scarlett just made her Podfluxxx debut.
Yeah, she did.
10 minutes of nonsense to wrap this whole thing up. So before we get to
Yeah.
all the run-ins and everything,
Mm.
what did you think up until that point?
Another like AJ and LA Knight, just good, solid pro wrestling, working back and forth. No one's rushing. I always think back to when I tried out for TNA in 2010. Uh, I remember Terry Taylor telling me there's there's one way you can tell who's a main eventer and who's not. And he says, when the bell rings, what do you do? If you're not on the main event, you think you have to go out and do something to get over. And then when the bell rings in the main event, you stop because everybody's there to see you. And I thought about that as soon as the bell rang with those two, like they probably looked at each other like, well, tonight's the night, like they're probably looking at each other like, okay, in about 20 or 30 minutes, this place is going to lose their ever loving minds. And they did. So, I mean, it was a good match, solid,
Yeah.
work, both guys. I'm not a huge Cody. I don't love his work in the ring. I don't think he's anything special by any means. Like he's not like an AJ Styles to me, or a low key, in the way of like he has a unique way of doing all these things where it's super impressive and you can't take your eyes off him. Uh, I think he's just
Yeah.
solid, good, you know, Pro Wrestler 101 moves. I love Roman though. Like I love everything he does. I love his smile. I love his tan. I love especially since this run, right? His confidence and his arrogance in the ring.
Yeah,
I love it. Like when
that's
he
everything.
smiles, when he smiles, I feel like people are crying mad in the ring. Like they're not in the fans, right? Like they're so mad they're crying, like I hate you, and tears, and he's just smiling and kind of like waving them on and um yeah, that dude is, I mean, he's money for as long as he wants to be honest. So it was good. It was a good
The
match.
the arrogance of his character, I
Mm,
think, is what makes this whole and not I don't mean this whole thing like this storyline or this WrestleMania, like this whole Roman Reigns reign work.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I feel
yeah,
like it is really the like his charisma and his personality and the way he's been able to portray himself the way he has for the last 3.5, 4 years. Like, if he doesn't have that, then nothing special ever happened here.
right.
You
I
know what I mean?
I
So that like
yeah,
that's
I texted you, um what must that feel like? And I was meaning like to be him, like Roman, to get ready for that match, being Gorilla, and right before he goes out to know all of this is happening because of him. Like that walk must have been the most satisfying walk of any walk any
yep.
wrestler's ever taken, besides like maybe a Hogan or Austin, right? Like to me, if you do a Mount Rushmore and there's four spots, right? It's Hogan, Austin, Cena, and Roman. Because I don't think
Yep.
I don't know if anyone could have been in that spot and did it as good as he's done it. Like he came in, he's shredded, he's been covered up this whole
I mean,
time,
and let's be honest, like
and it's
those
just
guys
like
went out there and like you were saying that
no, it's like
they
he goes
had
out,
to
he,
have
he goes
known.
out and he's the guy, he's the guy that's
Go ahead.
dictating what's happening and when it's going to happen. I don't know if it was his call or Triple H's call, whatever. But I know we joked about like, what if he does win? Ha ha ha. But like, there's that moment where it's like it needs to happen type thing, and it just like to be the working heel, like like we were, and you're laying there and you hear 1, 2, 3, and that explosion. You're like, wow. Even Becky was like watching it, and when the count hit, even she went, wow. And I was like, and in my head, I'm thinking like it was all for that one moment that we watched. It was all for that. So it was crazy.
Yep. So I want to talk a little bit about the crazy run-ins, right? Uh so Jimmy and Jay do their run-in and Jay spears Jimmy off the stage and I don't
Yeah.
know what happened, but it came across on my TV like they forgot to mic wherever that table was,
Oh yeah,
and like
maybe.
I didn't hear the table break. So it was
Right.
like
Me
they just
neither.
went off the side of this thing and died.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And then it was just like for a minute I was like, "Man, are those guys okay?"
Yeah. I thought the same thing. Did they take a bump on the floor?
And then they showed him like laying there in a heap, and I was like, oh, they're probably not okay. You thought the same thing?
Yeah.
And then the Solo run in, and then it was Solo into Cena,
Cena.
right?
Yeah.
And so the Cena pop, like that
Right.
was a good surprise. I didn't think anything about that. And then Rock came out,
Right.
and that was a cool little throwback moment there between Rock and Cena. And then when the
Yes.
Shield music hits,
Yeah.
that was designed, I don't care what anybody says, that was designed to make 70,000 people start looking around for Moxley.
Yes, it was.
Uh,
To
and then,
remind them that he was something special at one time here.
right, yeah. Well, he had two guys there to make him look like that. Uh,
Right.
and then we got the Undertaker, right? And don't get me wrong, I'll never be disappointed when the bell gongs and the lights go out
Right.
because it's the
Right. Right.
Undertaker. But my
Yeah.
God, with Rock standing there, could you
Bro, I was
imagine
thinking the same thing. The same thing.
if the fucking glass would have broke?
Bro, if the glass would have shattered, Becky was waiting for it. And I
Yeah,
said, when The Rock was in there, I was like, if the glass shatters, this will be the greatest WrestleMania moment of all time. And the gong
yep,
came off, and I was like, and even she was like, oh, and she popped for it.
yeah.
But I was kind of like deep down inside a little disappointed. I was like, oh man, like I could just see Austin just coming out and just strutting down there. Oh man, because it was cool, like you said. Yeah, the Undertaker always wins. It's always great.
It
But
would have been the 20. It would have been the 25-year anniversary of Rock and Austin in Philly at WrestleMania 15.
oh wow,
So
I wonder
these
wonder if
run-ins,
there's a story
are
behind.
happening,
Yeah, I wonder if there's a story there why he
and
couldn't
I'm
make it, because
thinking,
I couldn't imagine him not wanting to be there.
uh, in my mind, Steve Austin heard the creative. He was like, "Wait, first you're gonna have the Usos, and then Solo, and then Cena, and then Seth Rollins, and then Taker, and then my pop. No, call me next year. I'll take my pop by itself."
That's true.
That's what I think happened. But when all these run-ins started happening, and I was like, "They're in Philly. It's been 25 years. Oh my God, it's gonna happen. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen." And then we got the gong, and I was just I've never been like for
yeah,
Undertaker
right,
before in my life. So
right.
it was a new feeling to me. Still a very cool moment. Uh,
Yeah,
Rocky
super cool.
sandbagged him on that choke slam,
Of course he did.
but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, he was also wearing a 40-pound leather Elvis costume. So, and a fake belt that they strong armed Muhammad Ali's wife into giving him. So, I
correct.
mean,
Yeah,
I understand. Did you watch any of the Hall of Fame?
I did. Yeah, I caught up with it today, actually.
All right, we're going to get to that in a minute. So, all in all, WrestleMania 40, the biggest WrestleMania of all time, smashed all these records. What do
Yeah,
you think?
it was good, man. It was good. I'm glad. I mean, I don't like the fact that Vince is pooping on chicks, but I'm glad that he's out and they are. So I believe that with TKO, in charge, fully in charge now, in order for them to have UFC crossovers or package deals with their events, that the WWE can't be so cartoony and so like
Mm-hmm.
inside ribbing each other, or inside jokes playing out on TV. So everyone's leaning more towards a realistic style of pro wrestling again, which is basically pro wrestling with stories to it, you know, with fighting with a backstory, basically. So it's great, you know, because that's when the business was doing its best and it's clearly working, right? Like
Right.
everything about the main event, uh, you know, the second night, Cody and Roman finally, was all about one thing: winning the heavyweight championship of the world, you know, and no shenanigans, no haha between them ever, you know. It was all business. It was, you know, Cody comes out 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then boom, Roman comes out laughing, arrogant. Do you know who I am? Type of, you know, like I'm too good to be here type of thing. You know, I loved his line. I didn't have to go to Hollywood. Hollywood came to me. Like I thought that
Mm-hmm.
was, you know, stuff like that. Again, his delivery on everything. He would say something and then smile, and everybody would boo, you know, and he would laugh more. It's just, you know, it was great. It was fantastic. I was really excited for this weekend, and I can't say that for a WWE event, at least, you know, it's been years since I've actually been like, man, I can't wait for this WrestleMania, as a fan or a wrestler, you know, because there was matches on there as a wrestler. If I was wrestling, I would watch repeatedly to learn more, like the AJ match, and like, you know, just watching Randy again moving around the way he does. Seth and Drew, I thought, you know, was a match I would study, you know, if I was still wrestling, like timing things, stuff like that, you know. So it was a good weekend.
I don't know if they made a mistake or not, but I think Corey Graves said that Randy Orton weighed 275.
He's tall,
I mean,
and now he's thick
he is
now.
tall and he does look pretty thick now, but I mean,
That's
Drew
a lot.
McIntyre is 275. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
It's
could.
did you watch any of the Raw after Mania?
No, I mean I followed it on Twitter to see what was going on, but I didn't watch it all.
Okay. So The Rock and Cody
Yeah.
had the weirdest segment I've ever witnessed on television in my life. Like Rock came out and they first of all Cody spoke for like 20 minutes and then
Oh
Rock
wow.
came out and they went like another 20 minutes. So
Oh
this was
no.
like the first 45 minutes of Raw,
Oh
right?
wow. I didn't know
And
that.
basically Rock was like, "That's a nice belt you got there. Can I hold it?" And Cody was like, "You got a nice belt too. I'll let you hold mine if you let me hold yours." And I was like, what in the Vincent Kennedy McMahon is going on here? Like,
Exactly, right?
don't I don't understand why anybody
Right.
wants to hold anything of anybody else's.
Right.
And then Rock was like, "It's time for Rocky to go away now, but I'll come back. And when I come back, I'm coming back for you." And then he handed him something and
I
was
saw
like,
that.
"You don't have to look. You know what this is."
Yeah.
And yeah. And dude, there was a moment during this promo where the people in Philadelphia chanted, "This is awkward, clap, clap, clap," because it was awkward. It was like just the weirdest shit I've ever seen. And then after that, I decided I needed a 2 hour and 15-minute nap. So as far as I know, that's where Raw after Mania ended.
Yeah. I didn't see much. I know that they
Uh
debuted the NXT champions, and that seemed to come off really well
yes, I did
because
actually. I
it's
did
that.
see Ilya Dragunov. He had a good showing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that type of crowd where they would, you know, where they're gonna love that. So But
All right. Did you end up ever watching any of that CM Punk and Ariel Hawani interview that I sent you?
yeah, I watched the whole thing.
So what did you think?
Well, again, like he didn't say anything that wasn't true or didn't really happen, right? I
Open.
mean, we just found out. Plus, what was reported for the most part
Yeah.
was pretty, it was all pretty, he kind of touched on everything that was kind of reported, right? Like he talks about he was gonna hang out for the rest of the show, and the security guard kind of came over and was like, you might want to, he goes, would it make your job better if I left? Like, is that,
Yeah.
are you in a nice way trying to ask me to fucking leave out of the building? I help fill up, um, in
Yeah.
typical Punk fashion, he's like, that's fine, whatever. Like, you had to figure he was going to get kicked out or whatever after that, but no, it was great. I'm happy that he's he's back where obviously he belongs, but that it's finally what it should be, I guess, as far as like how it how it seems to be in the back, like everyone kind of working together, um I mean,
Hmm.
like being a wrestler, right? Like there's some places you like to go, and then there's some places that you just go and you feel a certain way, at least for me it was like things also change, like I know like when Punk left Ring of Honor, it changed for the worse, and for me at least. uh it was fun while he was there, and then it was just like a bad, he left and then Joe left, and then Joe came back in and out, but Joe wasn't about Ring of Honor anymore. So it was fun to see him and hang out with him, but he was clearly like just mentally he was not there, right? So um you know and then the other people that kind of took over in Ring of Honor just made it like not as fun for a lot of people. So there was like that change, um and then there's other places, like for me at least, like Lucha Underground was always on the same page. We were always on the same page. It never got bad in Lucha Underground because after the fourth season it just didn't continue. But um, so I mean, it seems like everything is better there, according to what he's saying. So that's good. It took 10 years for them to do it, but he's in a different place. It's funny
Now,
to see the cash in. Like I thought immediately of the cash in that Damian Priest did involving CM Punk. When you think of Punk's cash in, it was like Batista and them, right? Or was that
yeah.
Brian's? Yeah, where
No,
it was
somebody
Batista.
or somebody dropped Del Rio, right?
No, that's
And
Ziggler's
then
cash in. That's Ziggler's cash in. No, no. Punk's cash in was Edge and Batista, and he came
yes, it was
down.
Edge and Batista.
Edge and
Right.
Batista, and it's funny because now Priest is coming in, and he's kind of the Edge or Batista, you know what I mean, like a level guy, right? Where he's giving it back type thing is what I was getting at, but yeah, it's just I mean, it was interesting. He came out and he said a lot of stuff that Vince would have not allowed for him to say before, right? Like he was saying, three letters that weren't WWE. He was talking about
Yep.
another owner, another, company. They got into the quote unquote internet rumors. He cleared everything up. I mean, it was good. It was interesting. Like I listened to the whole thing in one sitting.
Yeah. Now, as I know it's been a long time, but as somebody who personally knew knows CM Punk, the way he came across on this interview is that the genuine artifact? Is that
Yeah.
individual the
Yeah.
actual
That was
person,
that's what
or
kept me
do you
so
think there's
that's
an
what kept
aspect
me
of, oh,
so
he's working?
yeah, no, that's what kept me so in tune to it was that was him, that was him again being able to say what really happened and showing how comfortable he was talking about it proves that it was the truth because it wasn't, well, I got to tippy toe around saying this, I got to tippy toe
Mm-hmm.
around that because Vince doesn't want us saying anything, right? That's what I'm saying about it being, um, you could sit there and just genuinely like understand what's going on because he's not and then he's just saying this is what happened, here's how I talked about it. The thing about Punk is, when he was on that 400-day run as WWE champion after he came back at SummerSlam, remember him and John did the double belts thing. uh I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't I hadn't seen him in a few years, right? Like I had texted him here and there, but it had been a good few years, and he had went from being ECW CM Punk to the longest reigning champion, in years, right? Beating John Cena. So I didn't know how he was going to react to seeing me because we hadn't seen each other or talked in years, and it was like we had just talked yesterday. Like he's one of those types of people, like it really is true. Like if you're his friend, like genuinely his friend, you'll always be his friend, like, and I talked to Rocky a couple times, like when we were doing the New Japan stuff. And I was like, oh, did you get a chance to talk to Punk while you were over there at AEW? And he was like, oh yeah, all the time, like, we keep up, he's coming to Battle Valley just to watch. And, he, it was like, we were all work on the same show 2 weeks ago, so
Yeah.
definitely knowing him and like getting to see that interview was probably, it is really how he really is, I mean, like you get to that point, right? Like we can sit back and look at it and relate because we are on the outside now looking in at these guys trying to do what we had already did, right? So you can relate to a lot of what he was saying because now you probably got guys with attitude problems, guys with ego problems, getting into arguments. I didn't get my shit in, blah, blah, blah. And then you kind of look back and think like, hey, well, if you were, if you were around when Conflux was around, bitch, you'd be carrying our bags in,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's
Right.
that's where he is, where he's kind of like he's seeing everyone else trying to do their thing, and he's just along, like you said, he's just going along for the ride. He's enjoying it. It's kind of like cashing in, right? It's like your golden years, right? Like everyone
Right.
respects you, everyone has acknowledged all your hard work, and you don't have an ego of, well, what am I doing now? What are we doing? What are we doing? I don't think we ever had that in VPW. It was more of, what do we need to do, to get this to that next point and get us
Right.
to that next level and so forth. But yeah, I mean, it was a good interview. I mean, I enjoyed it because I wanted to hear from his mouth what happened, you know.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I am very much looking forward to going on. We wrap this up to see how everybody's reacting to the footage. But
Yeah,
do
for
you have
sure.
anything else you want to talk about from the WrestleMania week, Raw after Mania?
Nah,
Anything?
I think that's good.
Good. Look at this. We got a WrestleMania, a Raw, and some live AEW Dynamite all done in an hour and 12 minutes.
Nice.
Ricky, you are a lovely, lovely man. I hope you're enjoying your spring in Texas, and I will catch you next week. Mother Fluxers will catch you next week. For Ricky Reyes, I'm Kevin Fulton. This has been Podfluxxx, episode number 49, and here comes the gimmick.